This woman should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal. She made up a scandal about Trump being a Russian asset. And they banked on the intel agencies working with her to perpetuate this lie, and it appears they were only too happy to assist.
What happens when a legacy shaped by influence, media spin, and polished sound bites comes face to face with Megyn Kelly's razor-sharp clarity? The result is complete detonation. Hillary Clinton, fortified by decades of political defenses, stood no chance once Megyn stepped in with a truth so precise it cut like a scalpel, and wit sharp enough to tear through every carefully crafted illusion. There was no sugarcoating, no hesitation, just a raw dismantling of the image in real time. This wasn't a playful jab, it was a full-blown reckoning, and Hillary never anticipated how quickly the spotlight could turn against her.
We now know how Russiagate got started, and we know that it was all a lie started by the Hillary Clinton campaign. That the Hillary Clinton campaign realized she was in trouble because of her email scandal, which had broken in 2015 in the wake of Benghazi. We found these emails of hers that were weird, and people were like, what server was that on, and so on. And it created a problem for her.
Hillary Clinton enters every public stage like a walking reminder of political controversies, carrying a baggage of past blunders that somehow still reeks of entitlement. Megyn Kelly didn't just step into that mess. She arrived fully equipped with a spotlight to expose, a megaphone to amplify, and a flamethrower of biting sarcasm powerful enough to melt the gloss off Hillary's carefully practiced grins. At this stage, Hillary isn't functioning as an active political force. She's more like a rerun on an endless loop, playing in the background while still pretending she's the headline act.
A bit more of a description. Here's a part, I won't make you watch the whole, a part of the trailer for Gutsy.
Okay, here we go. We're hitting the road to shine a light on women who inspire us to be bolder and braver.
Leadership doesn't look one way. It's a giant rainbow.
You're not gonna break me down. You'll get worn out before I do.
Women who push us outside our comfort.
Megyn didn't have to dig far to uncover the flaws. Hillary's track record is basically a buffet of political blunders, served cold with a generous helping of deleted emails, and topped with a familiar excuse that it was never her fault. Listening to Hillary discuss leadership feels like watching a GPS struggle to recalculate after plunging straight into a lake. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly sits calmly in the backseat, simply asking the question everyone's thinking: who thought this driver was ever qualified to be behind the wheel in the first place?
Hillary Clinton is now pretending like she did not call Donald Trump an illegitimate president when he beat her in 2016. She's expressing her horror and how indignant she is over him challenging the 2020 election results. And okay, that's fine. You can say you don't like how Trump behaved after, whatever, his loss, January 6th, the whole bit. But you cannot, if you are Hillary Clinton, play the whatever challenge and elect.
There's an almost comedic desperation in the way Hillary tries to stay relevant, piecing together a public presence with the awkward charm of someone holding a campaign together using podcast guest spots, college lectures, and smug interviews. Megyn didn't waste time on pleasantries. She struck a match and set fire to the carefully crafted illusion, letting it fall apart right in front of her. Hillary's version of leadership is the kind that makes people long for the comfort of political silence. Every time she appears, it feels like a flashback to the political missteps we all hoped had been permanently shelved.
And you guys, but just for the record, let's play SOT 10.
I do think that he knows that he's an illegitimate president. I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did. And as I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen.
She's not campaigning anymore, she's just hovering, like one of those annoying pop-ups asking if you'd like to subscribe to failure. And Megyn treated every second of that presence like material for a comedy skit, each moment teed up for a punchline. The Clinton Foundation? That's not a foundation, it's more like a shrine to wasted chances, dressed in the costume of charitable ambition. And whenever Hillary starts talking about integrity, you can almost hear the universe laughing, as irony trips over itself and lands face first in a stack of classified files.
And as she got closer to Election Day, she decided to concoct 2 lies about Donald Trump to distract from her email scandal. She got the Steele dossier through this Fusion GPS company that her campaign paid, and she got this group CrowdStrike, which was the one responsible for the hack into that. That's the one that said that the Russians hacked.
Megyn Kelly didn't even need to embellish. She simply held up a mirror, and the ridiculousness spilled out like a clown car packed with poor choices. Hillary's moral compass spins wildly like a slot machine, and no matter where it lands, it always points to deflect. She's the kind who'll torch every bridge behind her, then turn around and deliver a speech on unity while cooling herself with a manifesto titled, "Why I Should Have Won." Megyn just stood there, gesturing to the wreckage, and asked the obvious. How many times does history have to shout no thanks before it sinks in? What makes it even more absurd is Hillary's belief that she's still feared, not respected feared, like she's the final boss in some outdated political video game. But the cheat codes are exposed, the visuals are glitchy, and the only soundtrack playing is her blaming Russia, sexism, the weather, and gravity for her defeat. Megyn cut through all that noise like a hot knife sliding through spin, masquerading as butter. There's delusion. And then there's Hillary, a full-blown seminar in self-promotion without the charm, just loaded with contradictions. Remember when she tried rebranding as relatable? As if trading a pantsuit for a flannel could wipe away years of polished avoidance and corporate smirks.
Hillary Clinton just weighed in publicly again on why she lost. And just in case you were thinking it was because she didn't go to Wisconsin, you are wrong. It is you, women of America. It is your fault. She now sits down for an interview and decides that the reason she didn't win is American females. That they didn't like that she wasn't.
Megyn Kelly made the entire performance feel like a late-night sketch scripted by a group of completely disconnected interns. Hillary enters every interview as if the world owes her a thank you card just for sharing the same timeline. And Megyn took that inflated ego and turned it into a piñata, blindfolded, swinging with precision and cracking it wide open using nothing but wit, far sharper than anything buried in Hillary's policy playbook. Hillary talks about transparency the way a magician talks about revealing tricks, always with a smirk and a trapdoor ready. But Megyn didn't even blink. Every speech Hillary delivers reads like a dense textbook, overloaded with more disclaimers than a tax return. Megyn just skimmed the highlights and laughed at the obvious because if the truth exists anywhere in there, it's buried behind firewalls, tangled in red tape, and hidden beneath layers of strategic vagueness. Then there's the wreckage she's left behind. Staffers discarded, donors burned, alliances frayed, and entire voter blocks who showed up once and never returned. Hillary treats political loyalty like a short-term lease, and Megyn turned that temporary contract into a punchline because nothing screams, "I care about everyday people," like raking in $250. 000 from bank speeches while tweeting about wage equality from a private Gulf Stream.
Hillary Clinton decided to drop an op-ed in the New York Times today that's entitled, "How much dumber will this get?" And she uses Signalgate and the messaging by Pete Hegseth and Mike Walls and JD Vance and Tulsi and others on there as the jumping off point to talk about how dumb the Trump administration is. Some highlights. She calls the Trump.
And then there's the endless shape-shifting. One day, Hillary's a bold progressive. The next, she's a sensible centrist. Then suddenly, she's a feminist trailblazer, quickly followed by a foreign policy expert with all the warmth of a frozen Excel sheet. Megyn Kelly didn't just highlight that inconsistency. She strapped it to a rocket and sent it soaring straight into the fantasy world where Hillary supporters still think 2016 was just a clerical mix-up. Hillary's campaign strategy has always been reboot and rebrand, but the core never changes, and each new slogan sounds more like a weary sigh from history itself. Watching her shift blame is like watching interpretive dance performed in slow motion, awkward, drawn out, and oddly mesmerizing. Megyn didn't interrupt the performance. She let it unfold, then delivered her critique with the satisfaction of someone who's been waiting for the final act for years. The choreography is outdated, the routine predictable, and the spotlight is clearly over it. Megyn simply held up a mirror and let the viewers decide who really lost their rhythm. Hillary's grip on power is like a child shaking an empty piggy bank, hoping there's still one more coin inside. Megyn didn't need to push, the illusion was already swaying. For someone who brands herself as a unifier, Hillary has a remarkable ability to divide. The second she steps into the frame, the energy shifts part confusion, part fatigue, all performance. And Megyn Kelly? She brought a bullhorn to that strained silence and made sure every last person heard the joke.
Are gutsy. And in case you just need a little bit more of a description, here's a part, I won't make you watch the whole, a part of the trailer for Gutsy.
Okay, here we go. We're hitting the road to shine a light on women who inspire us to be bolder and braver.
Leadership doesn't look one way. It's a giant rainbow.
The real punchline is Hillary's obsession with legacy. She wants to be remembered as the trailblazer who shattered glass ceilings. But all she's really done is sweep the broken pieces into a corner and start charging admission to admire the mess. Megyn poked right through that carefully crafted glass sculpture and exposed nothing but recycled campaign lines and outdated press statements. Hillary's aiming for history books, but at best, she's becoming a footnote in chapters people tend to skip. And let's not pretend she's watching from a distance. She's knee-deep in the game, tossing punches from the sidelines like a political commentator who's forgotten the basic rules. Megyn turned her whole act into a blooper reel. Every tweet, every calculated speech, every smug smile after dodging yet another accountability moment plays like a sitcom missing its laugh track. And there's Megyn, lounging on the metaphorical couch, calmly pointing out every plot hole with a raised eyebrow and a glass full of inconvenient truths. Hillary keeps making appearances like she's the long-awaited solution to a problem no one's mentioned since 2016. Her entire platform now seems built on passive-aggressive interviews and book tours that move like overpriced paperweights.
Let's talk politics for a minute. Hillary Clinton is back doing a late-night tour. She spoke with Jimmy Fallon, and she had some thoughts on this boiling down to Trump versus Biden again.
What do you say to voters who are upset that those are the two choices?
Get over yourself. Those are the two choices.
Yeah, love that.
Right? And
good.
you know, it's kind of like one is old and effective and compassionate, has a heart, and really cares about people. And one is old and has been charged with 90.
Megyn Kelly didn't just dismantle Hillary's image, she exposed the entire business model behind it. Power fueled by nostalgia, strategy rooted in selective memory, and relevance maintained purely through sheer volume. And every time Hillary tries to reshape the narrative, Megyn's already one step ahead, flipping through the receipts and pointing straight at the fine print. There's this notion that Hillary is somehow beyond criticism because of all she's endured. Sure, if you count decades of calculated ambition, carefully crafted public relations, and an uncanny ability to sidestep real accountability. Megyn didn't tear down genuine struggle. She shredded the spin that tried to pass for it. There's a clear line between true resilience and a lifetime of practiced deflection, and Hillary's been stuck in the latter since the days before smartphones were even a thing. Megyn didn't need to launch a character attack. Hillary wrote her own role, directed the production, and even handed out the programs. All Megyn did was point out that the big twist everyone's been waiting for never actually arrives. Watching Hillary reinvent herself again and again feels like sitting through reboot after reboot of a show no one asked for, with the same tired script and slightly moodier lighting. Megyn simply pulled back the curtain, showed the crew working behind the scenes, and reminded everyone that if the ending never changes, maybe the story was never that compelling to begin with.
Joe and Kamala can win by 3 million votes and still lose. Take it from me. So we need numbers overwhelming, so Trump can't sneak or steal his way to victory.
Okay. So why can't a smart guy like Maher know that? I mean, he genuinely seemed surprised to hear this from me. He doesn't, I think it's just his true hatred.
The irony runs deep. Hillary still behaves as though the microphone is rightfully hers, stepping into the spotlight with that well-worn confidence, recycling policy pitches that were already dismissed years ago. Megyn Kelly didn't need to engage in a heated debate. She simply revealed what happens when style clings to the stage long after substance has left. The crowd has moved on, the tone is off, and any applause is just the fading echo of rallies that ended long ago. Yet Hillary keeps performing, scripting new scenes while Megyn's already aired the outtakes, revealed the production flaws, and left the director of this saga quietly facepalming in the corner. Between the carefully edited memoirs and the stiff photo ops, the reality comes into focus. Hillary isn't a leader of tomorrow. She's the punchline forming before the setup's even finished. And Megyn made sure we all watched it unfold from the front row. Hillary still walks into rooms as if fate personally robbed her of the presidency, like destiny ghosted her on the biggest stage. But Megyn didn't let that delusion gain traction. She stomped it out with years of unspoken truths and a vault full of questions that never got real answers. Because Hillary's real political superpower was never solving scandals, it was simply surviving them long enough to pretend they didn't matter.
She created this entire storyline around the Russians doing these terrible things in tandem with Donald Trump in order to, yes, hurt Trump, but also mostly to distract from her own scandal. And we also know that Obama knew. He knew about it. He was told by his intelligence agencies in the late summer and fall of 2016.
And Megyn didn't just bring up Hillary's old scandals. She dusted them off, lit them up, and turned them into a full-blown fireworks display of political absurdity. There isn't a version of Hillary Clinton that hasn't been test-marketed by a swarm of consultants. Every haircut, every carefully modulated speech, every forced attempt at a viral soundbite, it's all been rolled off the assembly line like a product launch pre-approved by a focus group. But Megyn stripped all that away and brought it back to the core. Behind the polished image is someone who's rewritten her own story more times than she's ever given a straight answer. And that's where the roast lands hardest, right in the heart of the carefully constructed legend. Hillary isn't intimidating anymore. She's dissected, overanalyzed, and, more often than not, laughed at. Megyn made it clear. Whatever aura of mystery Hillary once had has long since vanished, burned away by too many rebrands and not enough truth. She's not a phoenix, she's a rerun. And every time she tries to rise again, it's with less fire and more theatrical smoke. The political landscape has moved on, new faces, new chaos, new headlines, but Hillary's still trying to audition for a part in a production that's already been canceled. Megyn didn't need to raise her voice. She just calmly walked through the ruins and pointed to the spotlight that no one's using anymore. And that's the sting Hillary built a legacy she now can't escape, a name that echoes more as satire than significance. In the end, Megyn didn't just tear down the myth, she reminded everyone why the sequel isn't worth watching.